For centuries, the galaxy had grown used to humanity's noise. Their songs, their speeches, their endless debates spilled out across the void, carried on beams of radio waves and shimmering data streams. Aliens who had never set foot on Earth could still hum human music, could quote their leaders, could watch dramas born from that little blue marble orbiting its sun. Humanity was many things, reckless, daring, emotional, contradictory, but above all, they were loud. And then, one day, they weren't. It began without announcement. The chatter of Earth's countless stations, transmissions, and orbiting relays ceased. The music stopped. The voices fell quiet. Even the background hum of Earth's restless data net went dark. The silence was not gradual. It came in a single moment, as if the entire species had drawn in its breath and held it. At first, the galaxy did not notice. Civilizations were busy with their own disputes, their own wars, their own lives. But the few who did notice, long-range listening posts, trading stations, alien scholars who studied the patterns of Earth's broadcasts, raised the alarm. "Earth has gone silent," they whispered. The words spread like ripples in a pond. Some laughed. Perhaps the humans finally destroyed themselves. Others worried. No, humanity is stubborn. They do not vanish so easily. And still, others remembered the warnings, the stories told in hushed voices, that humanity had always been building, always preparing, always changing. Weeks turned into months, months into years. The silence remained unbroken. Exploratory fleets approached Earth, hoping to pierce the veil of mystery. Not one returned. Their signals faded, swallowed by the same silence that cloaked humanity's homeworld. The message was clear. Do not come closer. The galaxy shifted uneasily. Without Earth's voice, the stars seemed emptier. The musicians of Ariax lamented the absence of human melodies. The scholars of Vector missed their fiery debates with human philosophers. Even the warlords of the Xyrith Empire found themselves strangely uneasy, for the loudest species of all was no longer shouting. And then came the rumors. Some claimed humanity had sealed their world with a planetary shield so advanced it bent space itself. Others whispered of vast shipyards hidden within the asteroid belt, where fleets of unimaginable scale were being forged. A few suggested darker possibilities, that Earth had fallen to something inside itself, something so catastrophic that silence was the only thing left. But the galaxy did not have to wonder forever. It happened on the 200th cycle after Earth's last word, a day etched into every civilization's memory. Without warning, the silence broke, not with music, not with speeches, not with the gentle hum of old transmissions. No, the silence shattered with the thunder of engines so vast they warped the very medium of space itself. A fleet emerged from Sol, not in scattered trickles of ships, but in a unified tide of power. They were colossal, human warships the size of cities, moving in perfect formation. Hulls dark and sharp-edged, glowing faintly with energies unseen in the galaxy before. Their weapons bristled like the spines of ancient beasts, and their banners bore a single symbol, not of nations, not of divided states, but of humanity united. The galaxy trembled. Earth had not been abandoned. Earth had not been destroyed. Earth had transformed. The silence, they realized, had never been weakness. It had been preparation. One transmission cut across every frequency, carried on a voice, so calm, so steady, that it seemed to echo with the weight of every human who had ever lived. We are humanity. We are not what we once were. The age of division is over. The silence was our rebirth. From this moment on, the galaxy itself has changed. No threats, no demands, just certainty. Civilizations across the stars froze. Empires that had mocked humanity, corporations that had exploited them, governments that had dismissed them, all understood in that instant. The balance of power had shifted. The Zyrith Empire, once humanity's greatest rival, attempted to rally its fleets in defiance. They boasted that no human ships could stand against the might of their armadas. But when their scouts reached the edge of Sol space, they returned trembling. "It is not ships we face," one captain reported, voice hollow. "It is something beyond war, something that has been forged in silence. Their weapons are not meant to conquer. They are meant to end wars before they begin." The galaxy listened, and the galaxy obeyed. From the core-ward nations to the rimward colonies, every people realized the same truth. Humanity had chosen silence not to hide, but to become something new. And in that choice, they had forced the galaxy itself to change. Alliances shifted. Economies trembled. Old rivalries were abandoned, for none wished to be the first to test humanity's new strength. But beneath the fear, there was something else, something deeper. Hope. For in their silence, humanity had not erased their essence. They had not become cold machines or heartless conquerors. They had become unified, focused, tempered like steel in the forge of solitude. And though their warships inspired dread, their words carried promise, a promise of balance, a promise that the galaxy would no longer be a place of endless chaos, but of something greater. The galaxy, for the first time in millennia, held its breath, not out of fear, but out of awe. For the noisiest species had gone silent. And when they spoke again, they spoke with one voice strong enough to echo across the stars. Earth went silent. And in that silence, the galaxy realized they all had changed in a moment. The galaxy had grown used to humanity's presence. Their embassies filled the capital halls of alien empires, their merchants flooded the trade routes with strange goods, their diplomats argued endlessly in galactic forums, and their explorers brought stories from the farthest stars. Humans were everywhere, and they were relentless. Then one day, they weren't. It began quietly. A human ambassador, long stationed on the capital world of the Korathi Dominion, suddenly announced the closing of the embassy. Within a week, every human envoy followed suit. Ships bearing the Earth flag recalled their people from neutral stations. Merchants packed up stalls. Soldiers withdrew from foreign legions. Colonists boarded transports bound for Sol. By the end of the month, the exodus was complete. At first, the galaxy laughed. How typical of humans, the old races sneered. They grow tired of our ways and retreat into their own squabbles. But the laughter faltered when the transmissions ceased. Earth's planetary network went dark. Her colonies fell silent. Her outposts turned away visitors with an iron command. Return, no entry. The galaxy grew uneasy. Why would they abandon their influence? Asked the rulers of the Valen Syndicate. Humans thrive in meddling. Perhaps they destroyed themselves, muttered the Zirathi warlords. It is in their nature to burn brightly and die young. But deep within the council chambers of the elder species, the whispers turned darker. They are planning something, the Ashari seers warned. This is not retreat. This is metamorphosis. And so the galaxy watched as Sul wrapped itself in silence. Years passed. Ships that attempted to breach the borders of human space never returned. Some said they were destroyed. Others claimed they were spared but erased, their memories burned away before being sent back as empty husks. Either way, the message was clear. Humanity had withdrawn, and they would not be disturbed. The galaxy held its breath. Without humanity, trade slowed. Diplomacy grew dull. Wars became bloodier. For all their chaos, humans had been a bridge, connecting allies, tempering enemies, weaving a thread through the fabric of galactic society. Without them, that fabric began to unravel. A century passed. Then another. The galaxy moved on, though uneasily. Humanity became myth to the younger species, who knew them only as legends. They were loud, the elders said. They were reckless, bright, and full of fire. And then they chose silence. It might have remained that way forever, if not for the day the silence ended. It began with a single ripple in space, an unmarked transmission, low and steady, carried across the void. "The gates are opening." Every listening post caught it. Every civilization heard it. Fear spread like wildfire. What gates? What did it mean? And then they saw. The Sol system flared like a star. From Jupiter's orbit, structures the size of moons unfolded, releasing a swarm of ships that blotted out the void. From Saturn's rings rose shipyards, vast beyond comprehension, their engines igniting after centuries of slumber. Even Earth, itself, blue and green beneath its shield of light, glowed with power unseen in any corner of the galaxy. Humanity had returned, but they were no longer fractured, no longer a chorus of bickering nations and divided voices. They emerged as one. A single fleet, a single banner, a single purpose. Their ships dwarfed the cruisers of the Sirathi, outpaced the warforms of the Valen, and shone with technologies the elder races had never dreamed possible. They moved in perfect unison, disciplined, resolute. A voice cut through. The galaxy once more, carried on every channel, translated into every tongue. We are humanity. We have not abandoned this galaxy. We have simply risen beyond who we once were. The silence was our forge, and now the galaxy itself must change. The galaxy froze. Empires that had risen in humanity's absence felt their thrones tremble. Civilizations that had once mocked them now cowered in dread. The boldest among them, an admiral of the Sirathi, attempted defiance, hurling fleets toward Sol in a show of power. They never returned. Not because humanity destroyed them, but because humanity took them. When signals emerged again, the Sirathi crews were alive, rescued, healed, and released. Their fleets, however, were dismantled. Their warships, stripped to their cores, had been remade into peace vessels. "This is our message," the humans declared. "We are not here to conquer. We are here to end what you call inevitable." And for the first time in countless millennia, the galaxy believed it. Because the galaxy had changed in their silence. The wars had grown crueler. The weak had been consumed. The balance of power had rotted. And in their return, humanity showed not only unmatched strength, but unmatched restraint. They had forged fleets that could crush empires, yet they spoke with calm. They had built weapons that could burn worlds, yet they held their fire. They had become something beyond warriors, beyond traders, beyond wanderers. They had become architects, architects of a new order. The galaxy trembled, but it also listened. The younger species, who had known only endless conflict, flocked to humanity's banner. Even the elder races, proud and ancient, found themselves bending, not out of fear, but out of recognition. They saw in humanity what they had long ago lost: unity, purpose, and the will to reshape the stars. And so, the galaxy shifted. The wars quieted. The alliances realigned. Old enemies sat at the same tables. For when humanity spoke now, they spoke. Not as one people among many, but as the voice of change itself. The silent exodus was never retreat. It was transformation. And in that single moment when Earth's silence broke, the galaxy realized the truth. Humanity had never left them. They had simply prepared to return as something greater. Earth went silent, and the galaxy itself was reborn. For as long as the galaxy could remember, humans sang, not with just their voices, but with everything they had. Their music, their stories, their broadcasts, they poured into the void like an endless river. Ancient alien scholars once said that Even if humanity vanished tomorrow, the echoes of their songs would ripple through the stars for millennia. They sang of love and war. They sang of joy and sorrow. They sang because silence to them felt like death. And then one day, the music stopped. The change was so sudden that many thought it a mistake. The radio bands went quiet. The streams of video, entertainment, and chatter that had once cluttered galactic relays went dark. Even the military channels, always humming with coded bursts, were empty. At first, no one cared. The Karathi Dominion joked that perhaps humans had finally exhausted their endless supply of noise. The Valen aristocrats cheered. They had long. Grown tired of human songs outshining their own arts. Even the Zirathi warlords, who secretly admired human anthems of war, dismissed it as a passing fad. But the weeks dragged on. Silence stretched into months. And the galaxy realized something was wrong. The younger races noticed it first. The children of alien worlds missed the human stories that had once lit up their nights. Merchants missed the laughter of human traders. Even warlords found their battlefields emptier, without the stubborn humans charging with songs on their lips. "Why have they stopped?" the galaxy whispered. Some believed disaster had struck Earth. Others thought humans had finally turned, inward, devoured by their own chaos. Rumors spread, disease, collapse, rebellion, invasion. But no probe sent to Sol ever returned. No scout signal survived crossing into human space. The silence grew heavier, like a storm waiting to break. Decades passed. Generations rose and fell. The galaxy adapted, though uneasily. Other species filled the cultural void, but none carried the same spark. Human music became legend, taught in fragments, remembered in whispers. The younger civilizations asked their elders, were they truly like that? Did they really sing to the stars? The elders nodded, their eyes haunted. Yes. And then they stopped. A century later, the silence broke. It did not return as it had ended. There were no scattered broadcasts, no quiet reawakening of transmissions. No. Humanity's voice returned all at once, across every channel, every frequency, every translation node in the galaxy. But it was not music. It was the sound of engines. Colossal fleets emerged from the void, not drifting clumsily as before, but gliding in perfect formation. Their hulls gleamed with a light no star had birthed. Their engines thundered like symphonies of power, and as they passed, their ships broadcast one unified signal, a voice that shook every civilization to its core. We were silent, because silence was the only way to change. Now, we speak again. And the galaxy will listen. The galaxy froze. No one mistook what they saw. These were not the scattered navies of old Earth, fractured by nations and rivalries. This was a single armada, one people, one banner, one purpose. Humanity had not been idle in silence. They had been remaking themselves. The first to challenge them were the Zirathi. Ever proud, ever reckless, their fleets rushed to meet the human tide. They expected a fight. Clashing beams, roaring cannons, the old chaos of war. What they received was something else. The human fleet did not fire. It simply moved. One shift of formation, one ripple across its armada, and the Zirathi's weapons sputtered and died. Their ships fell quiet, disabled not by destruction, but by precision. Then, one by one, their vessels were guided safely back to their homeworlds. A message followed. We do not silence. We transform. The Zirathi warlords, humiliated but alive, said nothing more. Other empires trembled, for humanity had not only shown strength, but restraint, and that frightened them more than any superweapon could. Then came the second shock. From Earth itself, a signal broadcast across the galaxy, not of command, but of music. The first song to leave Earth in centuries spilled into the void. It was haunting, vast, and achingly beautiful. Every translator struggled to capture it, but no words could describe its weight. The galaxy wept, for in that moment they understood. Humanity had not stopped singing because they were broken. They had stopped because they were becoming. And when they returned, they did so not with scattered songs of individuals, but with one voice, unified, carrying the weight of 1,000 years of silence. The galaxy realized in that single moment that everything had changed. The empires who once mocked humanity bowed their heads. The young races who had never heard human voices listened in awe. Even the proudest of elders felt humbled, for they saw a truth they had long forgotten, that silence is not always death. Sometimes silence is rebirth, and so the galaxy shifted. Wars stilled, treaties were rewritten, balance broke and reformed, around the new gravity of humanity's presence. For when the music had stopped, the galaxy had feared. But when it returned, they knew. Earth went silent. And the galaxy itself had changed in that moment, forever.